Hi, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Am I standing funny?
It looks like a totally natural pose. What are you talking about? Look at that march.
Isn't this
Look
great?
at that march.
I
Now,
love
this is a logo.
you can
Should we?
actually tell how much I genuinely love this because it's all worn in.
It's
So
an
we bought
awesome
these
sweatshirt.
sweatshirts when we did our podcast.
Yep.
How many years ago? 3. And it still looks great. I honestly wear this sweatshirt all the time.
Well, I mean, I think it's a pretty awesome logo. I love the colors. And then we should explain we've got the palm tree, which is like LA. And then we've got the bridge and the hill, which is San Francisco,
Yep.
to show the,
I mean, we have
togetherness of our world.
just because they're masked in fog and sort of falling over to the side for lack of
I
sun.
mean, nobody's like palm trees, San Francisco.
It's funny that as a New Englander, like I very much relate to our palm trees in San Francisco as like still being California, because there were no palm trees where I grew up at all.
Yeah.
So the fact of being in California is still remarkable to me, and the palm trees are significant.
Yeah. No, I think that people definitely equate palm trees with just California.
Yeah.
Especially if you don't live in the state.
Well, one of the things, sorry, I'm going to turn my volume up. Okay.
Is it hard to hear me?
Turn the volume up on you? That's rare, huh?
I know. I don't know. I feel like my computer's been having...
I can't hear you.
My computer's been having all kinds of... In all my Zooming, because that's how we all socialize these days. In my recent Zooms, people have mentioned. Apparently, I'm speaking loud enough for this guy who just perked up.
Oh, he's so cute.
He's like, why are you talking so loud? But people said they couldn't hear me. So if you can't, or I have weird audio, I'm sorry. I don't know.
When I first moved here from the East Coast and everybody was starting to come and visit, there's this huge misconception over Northern California versus Southern California. So everybody would come here to visit wearing shorts and thinking they were getting like Baywatch Southern California. And then everyone had to recalibrate like what Northern California meant and how different that really is.
Yeah. And I think that, we remember all the times, you saw tourists buying sweatshirts from, Fisherman's Wharf or something because they were coming to San Francisco in August and it was going to be hot. And indeed, it is friggin' cold. Yeah. It is foggy and terrible. Many a birthday, my birthday's in August, was sad and freezing.
It's true.
Yeah. And the whole LA versus Northern California rivalry is very one-sided.
Yeah, I don't relate to that at all because I love all of California. I really
so do I.
love LA, and no, I don't really understand it and definitely don't care for that rivalry at all. I have a lot of friends in LA. I'm a big fan. So yeah. I don't know. But maybe that's because I'm not a native Northern California person, but I've still never heard like a good reason to have this rivalry.
Is it, the big complaint when I was growing up was we take their water. So the LA, it's like,
you're taking my water? Forget it. I'm done with you. Done. I'm posting an ad. I need a new friend you need because this one takes my water. I'm over it.
I know. It's a petty reason.
Okay, I'm going to start. This is butter in a glass jar. Okay. So we're off to a good start.
Olive oil or what?
I put in some olive oil too. So I probably should put more, actually. Maybe I'll put more when it comes out. I'm going to just pop this in the microwave.
Okay.
I am melting it. We're going to make a Spanakopita, which is, mine is going to be like a very non-traditional one here. I also don't have enough spinach, which is like one of the 2 pretty mandatory ingredients. So we're going to add some cauliflower, which I don't know if that's ever been done in Spanakopita before. And
it seems
sweet potato, which is definitely like entering the territory where I need to call this thing like a phyllo pie because it's no longer Spanakopita.
Okay. All right. That's fine.
We'll do what we can. So what I'm going to do is just actually start cooking this down a little bit. It's basically a phyllo pie. So I love working with phyllo dough, and I want to show everybody that it's really not that hard, because a lot of times people feel intimidated by it, but it's actually really, really easy.
It feels really great to not be cooking on this one today. It feels great to be the one sitting here just watching you cook.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm just going to chop up this cauliflower here, and I'm going to move it over into my saute pan, which is behind me. Oh, can you see that?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm back.
Welcome back.
So normally, you know, a spanakopita is like spinach, and usually I have a bunch of frozen spinach in the freezer, and that's actually what I prefer to use for it, because it's so hard to get enough spinach if you start with fresh spinach. You just need to buy like mountains of it, and then it's just like this whole process. But you could do it with any green. So it's really awesome. I've done it with like kale and chard. Sometimes when you get chard and you have a lot of chard stems, you can chop them up in there too, and that's really nice. But today I have 1 box of frozen spinach, a couple handfuls of baby spinach, and like I said, to give this enough body, I'm going to do cauliflower, and I think I'm going to try this crazy thing with the sweet potatoes. So bear with me and see.
I mean, you're playing fast and loose with this.
Yeah. I mean, kind of my style. So I'm going to do some onion and some garlic in the pan with the cauliflower. So the other thing, when you use the frozen spinach, you don't have to cook it first. So if you were actually following the recipe that I have, that's more classic, you don't need to cook anything until the whole thing is done. You can put the onion in raw, because it's going to go in the oven for so long. The onion will cook all the way through. Same with the garlic. Right?
Interesting. Okay. I have to say, as far as pastry wrapped appetizer-y things go, I much prefer like a samosa over a spanakopita type of deal. Mainly because mashed potatoes beats everything.
Oh, so you know what you can do?
Yeah.
Way back in the day, way back, like when Mary Jo, your friend from childhood, came up to visit.
Yeah.
We made not spanakopita. We made like a samosa style thing. Do you remember that?
I don't. Tell me more though.
Like in my first apartment, she came up to visit, and so you could basically take this same. I used to make those all the time. I actually forgot that I ever used to do that. But you could do it in phyllo dough. So normally, like if you get a samosa in an Indian restaurant or something, it's more like a fried dough.
Right.
You can make that at home, but I mean, unless you're
really a lot of work,
with a lot of spare time and wanting to embark on like a major project, that's not what I like to cook at home, because it just takes too long. I don't like anything that really leaves a big greasy mess afterwards. I'd rather go out and eat those things and do them when they have a deep fryer, because it just tastes so much better when they have a real deep fryer versus trying to
do it in your pan.
But you can do the phyllo dough the same way I'm going to roll it out. You could make mashed potatoes, keep them coarsely mashed, add a whole bunch of spices, turmeric, ginger, cumin, coriander, garam masala, chili powder, make them all spicy, and then add peas, and then just scoop that in there, roll it up, and do the same thing. That's how we used to do them before.
That sounds delightful. All
right, I'm
sure this will be amazing too, and better for me.
All right, there we go. Add that. So I'm doing an Instagram takeover. Ready? So I'm doing an Instagram takeover for Main Street Mamas. So hi, Main Street Mamas. Go follow them on Instagram, Main Street Mamas, especially if you're a mom. Follow them. So this is like around, right? Trippy, weird. But it's fun. Main Street Mamas is a fun, started as a Facebook group, but it's like a big mom community here. So I'm in their business group, and honestly, I've like made a lot of friends and connections and support, and it's really great. So
nice.
So I'm doing an Instagram takeover.
That's fun. Look at you. So like social media savvy with your Instagram takeovers and whatnot. Next thing you know, you're going to be TikToking and Snapchatting.
Have you tried TikTok?
No, I don't want to choreograph a dance. It seems not like what I want to do. Eloise would enjoy that, but I don't really want to. I don't know if it's for me.
All right, I'm going to show you what I got here.
Ooh.
I just want to cook it down a little bit because when you put
that is an intense pan. Nobody but a chef has that pan.
No, this pan, everybody can have this pan. It's amazing. You can do a whole chicken in there. I have it on my site. My friends make this. They're called Proclamation Goods. Now we're advertising for them too, which I am fine with because I love them and I love that pan. I love the shape of it.
No, okay, it's awesome.
Butter. I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil to it. I've done my onion. Let's do a little bit of garlic here. We're going to mash that up. Okay. How do you do the garlic mash? Do you do the smash?
That's how I do it.
Okay. So how's your week going? You're back at Eloise's school, right?
Yes. So school in quotations. Yeah, it was good. We actually, this is such like a weird world we're in at the moment. We love Eloise's school and she's only 5. It's kindergarten. So it's a really interesting thing with this whole, remote learning thing for a 5-year-old. They send, they have a morning meeting every day at 9 with the class. And then we get a daily email with links to videos, some that are recorded by the teacher, some recorded by, she has PE and Spanish and library and art and music. So they'll record things. It really is like not a full day because, it doesn't take that long, but it definitely takes a fair amount of time. Wow. We had a meeting with the administration this week. They were just kind of asking everyone, how they're holding up and what they need. And it seems pretty universal that, man, teaching your kid and parenting your kid and living with your kid 24/7, it's tough. It is tough. It is tough to be the one who's like, you have to do this work. And I mean, there's a reason why we have teachers and parents and separate things and you're not teaching your kid because, you're parenting your kid and it's really hard for them to separate the two between when you're asking them to do something, whether it's hard for them, I feel like, to figure out the frustration of, mandolin. Mm-hmm. What are you mandolining?
I'm going to do this sweet potato. So I've never done this before. I'm actually going to peel it because I want to lay like a thin layer in the bottom of it. So if you ever follow my recipes, you know that I don't normally peel things because then this is wasteful. It's got lots of nutrients and all the reasons in the world to eat it. But now it will get wasted. That will happen. You could roast these up. Actually, it won't get wasted because I will put these in stock. But that's me. Should be you too.
Yeah, I've never made stock. I should do a vegetable stock. There ain't no way I'm ever doing a chicken stock. Even the thought of creating a chicken stock makes me anxious and grossed out.
Well, you don't like chicken.
I know, and you have to use all the worst, most terrifying parts of it to make it.
It's true, and it smells really intensely chicken.
Oh, so, God, no.
What you do to make a veggie stock? Basically, just as you trim these things off, just save them up. You can even do your garlic peels if you like garlic.
Really?
I don't mind a tiny bit of garlic in my stock because I think garlic is really good and it kind of mellows it out anyway. But if you don't like garlic, you don't have to do that. But just
I love garlic.
Get a bigger bin or even a little bin like this and keep saving until you have about 3 times this much. So maybe 3 cups of stuff. And then you can put it in your freezer. And then when you're ready, pull this out, cover it with water and boil it for like 45 minutes and then drain it. Super good.
All right.
And it'll be better. Every soup you make will be better. Even if you make your beans, it'll be better. Really easy. So were the parents at your school thinking it's a little bit too much at all? Or are they all good with it?
I think what's hard is that, because you're a parent, you also don't know, like, really what is the expectation? Like, you're not really teaching. It's almost like you're maintaining, how much at 5 are we actually teaching versus helping just not have learning loss, right?
Right.
And so, I think it's a balance. They don't want parents to feel frustrated. but also it's just a frustrating situation. And I feel like everyone's trying to figure it out. And I know Ramona's starting kindergarten next year, and there's so much up in the air of what school will even look like, next year, start dates. Will they be going every day, every other day?
So,
all that stuff.
All right, hold on. I have too many things and I need more containers. Here's what I'm going to do. Hold on. I'm going to take, can you see this?
Mm-hmm.
I would call this like par cooked cauliflower. It is not fully cooked, but like I said, it's going to go in the oven, so it's totally fine.
Okay.
Listen, I'm strong. That's heavy, which is good when you're cooking anything, but it's heavy. Okay, I put more olive oil in here because I have all of this fresh spinach.
What's wrong?
Is he making pug noises? Oh, who dropped those?
Yeah, he's making all kinds of pug noises, like a crybaby, like the crybaby that he is sometimes.
Oh, perfect. Look, I emptied out a new container. Okay, I dropped spinach on my floor. Not going to eat that, but moving it to the side. Okay, I'm going to put these in here to get them out of my way. Okay. So the baby spinach, I just want to wilt down a little bit, really.
Okay.
And then I'm going to combine it with the frozen spinach to make my filling. So actually, I'm going to put this over here too. I think I'm going to layer this. I was thinking about mixing it, but now I think I'm going to layer it. That'll look cool. Okay. Moving this aside, my spinach is wilting. And I'm going to make, I'm going to make like the more classic filling. So I would just use frozen spinach. I find it in the box to be a little bit less wet. No, it's wet. Never mind. Scratch that. Can we edit this? Roll that back. You want to get the liquid out of here. I'm going to open this.
You're just going to put it in paper towels and like squeeze it out?
I'm actually just going to put it in a colander and squeeze it out because I think it's too wet. Yeah. Just going to put it in the colander. The baby spinach that's going, I'm not really even trying to cook it. I'm just really trying to wilt it down a little bit.
You're trying to what it down? Look at this.
Wilt. Wilt.
Oh, wilt it down. Yeah.
Wilt it down. Okay. Now, to this, I'm also going to do an egg. The egg, it just kind of binds it a little bit. It's not,
And you're going to mix this with the spinach. Is it just the egg and spinach, or are you putting something else in there?
Well, I'm going to put herbs in it. So I have green onion I'm going to use. Typically, I would also do like a whole bunch of cilantro, parsley, maybe dill. But I didn't have that. I'm getting a grocery order coming this afternoon that's not here yet. So I'm going to use what I have rather than running out to the store to get it. But normally I would do like a whole bunch of parsley or cilantro. I really like to put the dill in there, but dill is one of those that's a little hard to use up.
And I put in my tuna. I've been having a hard time finding dill personally.
Yeah. And then my neighbor gave me this rosemary, which is really soft. I have a huge rosemary bush in my front yard, but it's huge and really overgrown and like exposed to the neighborhood. I always see a guy walk by and he just like bends over and crushes it and then smells it.
I love the smell. It smells so
apparently
good.
This guy does too. I can see him from my desk, so he doesn't know that I'm looking at him. So I call him the rosemary sniffer. He always walks by and sniffs it. Anyway, I don't cook with that because it doesn't feel like a culinary rosemary bush. It's the same thing. There's really nothing about it that isn't edible. It just feels really woody and overgrown. But my neighbors have a little herb patch, and they gave me all this rosemary. You can just feel the difference. It's really soft, and it just feels finer, newer, and I don't think anybody's walking by to sniff it. So,
okay, so back to school. How are you feeling about Ramona and kindergarten and all that?
I'm kind of bummed. I mean, she's supposed to start kindergarten. That's like a rite of passage, and it's a big moment. It's hot.
No injuries. No live injuries.
I couldn't. Also, I'm just really concerned, like what, okay, so it's wilted, you can see.
Yeah.
Putting that in there. If she only goes to school part-time, like what are working parents supposed to do? I don't understand what you're supposed to do. I mean, I suppose it's only a problem up until a certain, no, I mean, that's a problem until your kid, even if your kid was in high school, what are they going to do if they're only in school half time and they don't have somebody to make sure that they're keeping up, or I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's like a weird situation. And like even how they're going to do drop off and pick up like in a safe way, like that's the other thing that they're talking about, you know, even with Eloise's school, like what will drop off look like, what will pick up look like, because you can't have everybody on campus at the same time all coming in. Like it's going to be weird. We'll have to see what people come up with.
Yeah, I just don't, I mean, I'm picturing, I work at home, so I mean, I guess like worst case scenario, I'm going to be here and Ramona's going to be in the other room, but that takes away like many hours of my working home is dealing with her and trying to actually, then I would feel like I have to actually teach her something. And then what's weird even further is that since, you know, Ryan's a teacher, my husband, if anybody who's watching is not our mothers,
I don't even think they tuned in today, truth be told.
Oh, we've lost them. We've lost our core audience.
We've already lost our core audience. That's right. Our family.
That's terrible. But he's a teacher, so he obviously needs to be teaching his kids. So it's not like he has a flexible job. So I don't like not having answers or a plan. And that is honestly the part, like, I want people to be safe. Like, we've got to do what we've got to do to save people's lives. Like, there are plenty of seniors in my life who I am worried about. And
we have somebody who,
thank you for watching, my friends.
Cheryl's here, and she said, great idea earlier, and now she is still here. So we do have a person.
Fantastic. Cheryl is my mentor and is helping me with my email marketing and stuff. So if you've seen my new fabulous newsletter, thanks to Miss Cheryl for that inspiration. Okay, so we're going to add now, the drained spinach. See how the consistency of that, it's just better for what we're trying to do for this filling. But the fresh baby spinach is fine. If you had big grown-up spinach, chop it up so that it's smaller pieces, but like the little baby leaves are okay. And I really wanted to add nutmeg.
Oh, wait, please hold. Matt says, Eloise wants you both to know that as a member of your core audience, she is also still watching.
Excellent. See, we didn't lose them. Okay. Where's the filling? Oh, you know what I'm going to put in here? Feta.
I was going to say, I thought there was some sort of cheese situation that went in there, but I didn't want to second guess the chef.
Yep. Nope. Feta. So this is like a soft feta. A lot of times when you see feta, it's the kind that's in brine and it gets, you just have to slice it and it never really melds into the spinach. So look for this one. It's like a French feta. It's called Valbrezzo feta. If you get the kind that's like the firm Greek feta, you're just going to have to cut it with a knife and make little chunks.
Okay.
Which is fine. It'll taste fine. It just doesn't, it doesn't blend. You'll always see the little chunks in there, which I guess sometimes I really like. But okay, so now on to the fun part. We've got our spinach filling. I've got my cauliflower because I'm now converting this into a layered phyllo pie. Now for the fun part. So have you ever done this or no?
I have never done this, no.
Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We have a nice clean work surface. I'm gonna make like a square shaped pie. So you can make triangles or rolls or something like that. That's how I would do this if I want to make an hors d'oeuvre. I would actually roll it up and make little bite-sized pockets. And then that's awesome for hors d'oeuvres. It's a little more time intensive on the front end, but then if you're serving them at a party, remember like when you have people over your house and serve them food and stuff, then you don't have to do anything with it. Like it just sits around and it's super easy to serve. So I feel like when you're making things in advance like that, there's always the trade-off. It's like, is it going to be more intensive during the party or in front of the party? And then it'll be easier to do. So I like to put down a layer here, like a base. So I'm going to start this on my worksheet or my workboard here. So the phyllo comes, it's all these tiny, fine things. One of the most important steps of phyllo is that, it almost always comes frozen, and you have to really thaw it out well. So that's not technically hard. You have to remember to let this sit in your fridge for at least 24 hours, maybe even like 36 hours, so that it's viable. And then we're just going to lay down a sheet. So this was my combination of butter and olive oil. You can't do this wrong. So it's like half and half. You don't have to measure it. It doesn't have to be exact. It can't really be wrong. And then I have my little brush, and I'm just going to brush it on. And you want to brush enough on that it's fully saturated, but not like oozing or too wet, because then you're basically just wasting your butter and your oil, and you're also just putting in too much. So just the first layer is the hardest. It kind of sticks to it a little bit. So instead of like really painting, I'm just doing a little dabbing to make sure it covers everywhere. And then your second layer, same. This phyllo is nice. And then just start from the middle and kind of press out to the edges so you don't have any bubbles. And then we're going to do it again. So,
and Alex, question from Cheryl. Is there an alternative using spinach for veg?
Yes. Yeah. So Spanakopita, as I originally started calling this, it would always be spinach. But now I'm converting this into a vegetable pie. So I'm actually going to put some sweet potatoes, some cauliflower. But you can obviously, like any green is a really obvious mix. You could use greens. You could use any combination of greens. But for the cauliflower, which I'll show you again in a minute, I just chopped it up really fine. You could do that with broccoli. You could even do like a complete mixed vegetable. Like you could do potatoes, broccoli, bell peppers. What would be so good would be like adding olives to that as well. You could add mozzarella, any other type of cheese. So you could really kind of go crazy with the phyllo vegetable pie here. If you take this method sort of to another part of the world and you go to like a Morocco, they put shredded chicken in it and they make those. Did you ever have those? When we went to that, we used to go to that Moroccan restaurant, Ziza, that's now closed. But they would do like shredded chicken. So it's almost like the consistency of chicken salad, but no mayo. Just like a really soft chicken. I don't even know what kind of sauce it was, but it was really, really cinnamony, which is a really good. Chicken and cinnamon is an awesome combination. And then they would make like this phyllo pie and then top it with powdered sugar, which seems like the weirdest combination of things ever if you're not used to it, but it's so, so good. Okay, so I have 4. How many layers is this? 4. I'm going to add my 5th layer. I'm not going to butter this layer. And pretty quickly after 5 layers, you have like a...
Alex, we got Bobby C checking in. Just update. Some family did show up.
Oh, I had no idea that my dad likes Spanakopita. No idea. It's got green things in it. That's not usually his style. Now I'm outing him on.
You sound like a robot in my ears, but maybe that's just in my ears
too. But then it went away.
Yeah, same. Keeps doing that. I tried even taking out my AirPods to see if that made a difference, but it doesn't. Who knows?
I think it did. Okay, so I'm gonna make this in the easiest shape possible. But if you wanted to make a free-form one, you would take this roll of 5, you'd put your filling here, and then you just sort of roll it like this, and then you have a roll. Okay? And then you can just bake the roll. But that's like the hors d'oeuvre version. You could also, sometimes I do it and like, remember how to make a paper football? Did you ever do that? Like in high school or whatever? You kind of fold it over into a triangle and then you can make a big triangle one, which is really fun. It's like a calzone shape. But this one, I'm going to do the easiest one. This is like the dinner pie version. I'm going to butter the pan all over. I'm doing like a nice little 8-inch square here. And then I'm just going to plop it in. You can see it's like all hanging over and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to push it down. And part of the beauty of this is that it really you just scrunch up the edges. Okay.
Okay. Looks good. Very pretty.
Okay. Right? Really good. Okay. So this is the part that's new. And I'm gonna go my sweet potatoes. So I did the sweet potatoes on, this is a raw yam, and I sliced it really, really thin. And I'm just gonna line the bottom. I think this is gonna be cool. To be honest, I've never done this with sweet potatoes on the bottom. I think what will happen is it's gonna actually make a really nice layer for the pastry. So when you go to pick up your slice later, you'll have like almost like this gratin taste on the bottom. Like, you know, when layered potatoes kind of come together. I'm gonna do a little bit of salt in there. All right, I'm gonna do about half my potatoes, and I'll do a layer on the top too. Great. Then, so Cheryl, this is how I did the cauliflower. So this is the cauliflower and onions. It's all chopped up. Make sure when you're doing the cauliflower, you go all the way through the core. You can use the leaves of the cauliflower. You can use the whole thing. Especially, this is like an amazing use for the core and the leaves of the cauliflower, because it's not like anyone's going to see it or know it's in there, but all that stuff is edible. It's good for you, and you paid for it, and otherwise you'd be wasting it. So this is an awesome use for that. I would even go so far as to suggest, if you were having like cauliflower florets and you wanted to steam them and make them really beautiful for one night, but then you have the core left over, you can save the core for something like this. You could even put it in your freezer to do it later.
Nice.
Now I've got my more classic filling here of what would normally go in what you think of as a spanakopita, and I'm going to put this layer on the top. I already seasoned my cauliflower as it was cooking, so that's why I did not
add salt
to it, but I did to the potatoes just because I did it differently. All right, putting this in. Great. I like this. It's going to be really pretty too when you slice it. So you can do these in, I've done these in like little pans. What would be, again, really fun. I keep coming up with dinner party ideas, like how off topic am I? Or off, uncurrent, not current. What's the word I'm looking for? But this would be awesome if you did.
It's 29 to have a dinner party.
Yeah, right. If you did like little ramekins, so everybody got their own. So it was almost like on the verge of like an individual pot pie or something. And then you could put the, and it would be so easy. You do it in advance.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to press this one down a little bit.
Okay.
And then I'm going to do my other layer of sweet potatoes on the top. Oh, no. I'm going to go reverse, right? We'll do one layer of spinach. So let's do my cauliflower. It's going to be good. Okay. Yeah. Back to school for a second. My kids are both so young. Like, I haven't felt any pressure to actually do any schooling, you know, in preschool and then even preschool. So the stuff we're learning is just like, you know, a 2-year-old, he's learning colors, and it's really easy. Right. It's like normal conversation. He's learning things. And then even in preschool, you know, she's doing letters and stuff like that. We give her some worksheets, but it's the type of learning where it's not, I don't feel like he has to be learning to be in a chair or anything like that yet. But it's kind of sad to think that like her first going to kindergarten experience wouldn't be, you know, normal and kind of what you expect.
Well, that's how we feel. Like right now, this is her kindergarten experience. She doesn't get to finish out the year with her friends or say goodbye to her teacher or any of those things. It feels
But then on the other hand, I feel worse maybe for like seniors who don't get that experience.
Oh, yeah, of course.
I definitely remember being a senior, and I only have snippets of memories as a kindergartner. Do you remember anything?
Not really.
No, right? So,
I mean,
it's just us that's missing out on it. So this looks awesome. I'm loving this, actually. Okay, so now we're going to do the top. Okay, so back to exactly what we did before, starting with phyllo number 1. And we did 5 on the bottom, and we'll do 5 on the top.
Okay, so you're just going to redo what you just did.
Yep.
With the 5 layers and the stuff.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's not hard, right? This doesn't look hard. It just looks perhaps time consuming.
Yeah.
Really, it's not even that time consuming. I posted today to answer somebody's question about making freezer meals. This would be an amazing freezer meal because you can make this whole thing and then just put the whole casserole dish right in the freezer, or you could, at the end of this, you'll be able to, once it cools down, you'll be able to take it out of the casserole dish. So you don't even need to waste one of your dishes in the freezer. You can just wrap it in foil or put it in whatever kind of system you use to put things in the freezer. And you just freeze this whole thing like that. And then you'll have an awesome.
Then you put it back in the same pan to cook?
Sure, yeah. Or it'll be, the sides of it will be so firm that you could even just put it on a baking sheet or something else to heat back up. And, you know, this is one of those things too, where making 2 of these right now is only going to be like 3 minutes of extra work, right? By the time if I just did this double. So this would be one where I would definitely make this twice, eat one now, and then freeze one for later. And then like 1 month later, you is going to be so excited that you thought to do this because it's such an easy dinner.
Yeah.
I also think these taste really great at room temperature. So if you take this with you anywhere, or you want to have it left over for lunch, it doesn't really even need to be super piping hot. So it's easier than like a baked pasta or something that needs to reheat for a really long time.
Yep. Nice.
So my other exciting project this week was working on my garden.
Yeah.
Which sounds funny to even say because I am a person who's never, ever kept any plant alive ever. So
it's hard.
It's hard. So far, we're doing pretty well. Wait, one thing I want to say, if you take one of these up and it rips, which happens a lot, or if it didn't or if it didn't defrost well, sometimes it can be really crumbly and awful. This is really nice condition because I really let it, I've had this defrosting for almost 36 hours in my fridge. So it's really well defrosted. But sometimes when you buy a packet, just in transport, it might have been defrosted and then refrozen. And then by the time you get it home, unbeknownst to you, it's defrosting again. So it's in kind of bad condition, which is very annoying. But if it rips or is crumbly, you can just piece the pieces back together on here. And then by the time you get like 2 layers going, it's going to look the same afterwards, and you'll never, ever know the difference. So it's a pretty forgiving pastry as far as pastries go. It's easier than pie crust, way easier than pie crust. Okay, so now on this one, see, I have 2 sides that kind of didn't overhang just because that's the shape of my foot. So I'm going to let this overhang in the other direction here.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to figure out what to do with the edges. So where this is overhanging, I just want to brush it. Basically, anytime the pastry touches the pastry, you want to touch it with the butter. Were we talking about this last week? It creates lift, right? So the butter solids make it brown and taste delicious, but then the water that's in the butter evaporates. And when it's trapped in the layers like that, that's what creates lift and steam. So I'm just going to kind of like crumple this in. So I don't want this to be like a pie cut crust. I want it to kind of be crumply and
rusticking.
Yeah, almost like crumpled newspaper or something. So kind of twist and tuck. See?
Lovely.
Right? And then we're going to brush the top of it with butter. And then I don't have it out, but I would maybe grate some Parmesan over the top. I also really I love the taste of black pepper with spinach. I think it looks cool when you do like a little bit of a peppery crust. You can almost do like a salt and pepper crust too. Put a little sprinkle. I think I have enough salt in my filling, but if you wanted to, you could. Okay, so we do that. And then like this. So
lovely.
I'm going to pop this in the oven just as it is because I did the casserole version. If you do the hors d'oeuvre version and you have a roll or you have a triangle or you have anything shaped and free form that isn't in a container, put it in the fridge until it's firm to the touch. And the butter that's in here will seize up just like butter does in the fridge. And then when you go to bake it, more of the butter stays in the roll and it doesn't all rush out. If you do it like this, the butter gets hot too fast and all comes running out the side and it can kind of be messy. So when in doubt, put it in the fridge first, let it firm up to the top. The other thing is if you do anything on a sheet, like longer ones to like make little squares, once it's cold, you want to use the knife and score it. So like if I want to, let's say I'm going to make this like into 4 squares, you want to kind of score that top layer so you know where it's going to be. And then after it bakes, you'll be able to cut it more easily without crumbling all of the without crumbling all of the dough afterwards. So I'm going to bake this until it's browned all the way through, and I want to make sure I give it enough time so that those sweet potatoes are cooked too. So probably like 45, maybe in 50 minutes at 350. And this is not TV, and I am sheltering. I did not run out to the grocery store to make one of these in advance to show you the finished project. So you're going to have to return to our Facebook page, and I will post a picture of this in an hour when it's done, and then you can see it.
I can't wait.
That's the plan. So would you try it?
I would try that, yeah.
Yeah, right?
I would not put the sweet potato in because I don't really like sweet potato that much, but I would do a variation. I love the cauliflower. I think that sounds great. The spinach sounds great.
You could do regular potato. Russet potatoes or Yukon Gold potatoes in there would be amazing because they love to cook together in thin layers like that. So then you would get a really, I mean, that would make it a really full meal because it would give you that awesome bite of potato on the top and the bottom.
Yeah.
Or do it without. You can just do it like the real Spanakopita way.
I think even just the spinach and cauliflower, I really like that together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Awesome.
You could definitely make this with a meat layer too. I mean, if you wanted to use the pastry and add like, I would do maybe like a layer of like ground chicken or ground turkey, ground beef, if that's your thing. But I think the texture of the ground meat would be better than like you don't want to put like a chunk of a chicken breast or something in there. Anything shredded.
Yeah, so like you think shred or like a shredded chicken or a ground meat would work.
So many, you could do so many variations. What if you did like a crazy like barbecue one? You could do like a Asian like barbecue pork shredded with like a layer of bok choy instead of spinach or
cabbage. You can put that in your cabbage newsletter.
Totally. Put some cabbage, do some corned beef or pastrami like shredded and then cabbage over the top and totally potatoes in there too. Do a whole Irish thing. I mean, we could take this everywhere.
Everywhere.
It's a good one.
Every place.
Definitely.
Well, I think next week I'm going to do my chocolate chip cookies.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, we haven't gone there yet. I'm going to be so jealous watching you make chocolate chip cookies and not be able to eat them.
Really good. They involve brown butter, so I'm browning butter.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, this is going to be the butter show now. We keep coming back to butter every week. Maybe one week I'll just actually make clarified butter so everyone can see the difference we keep referring to.
I mean, but then what are you going to do with the butter?
Use it. That's the whole point of clarified butter. So clarified butter, it barely goes bad because all the fat has been removed from it. So it's the fat.
That's basically ghee, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I love it. Well, I can't wait.
Yeah. I'm only going to make half the batch. I'm going to freeze half and then I'm going to actually bake half because these cookies that they make, the huge ones, and don't need that many lying around.
I mean, even if you make like a Toll House recipe, it makes 36 cookies. And if you can't give them all to some people, that's a lot of cookies. I mean, I could do it if I needed to.
Don't challenge me.
Well, yeah, you might as well, because then I almost always do that with cookie dough. I put half of it in there and then heat it again later. How's Jasper? Did he enjoy our show today?
I mean, I think he thinks we're pretty boring.
Yeah, it looks like it. I don't know if that's really a rave review.
He's like going to side eye you now because he's trying to sleep and we've been talking and he's just getting annoyed.
Well, I grow strawberry plants in my backyard and other plants, trying to keep them alive. So far I think so good, but I'm a little bit nervous about it. So that's what I'm up to.
Shout out to Helen Ziske, who is our
Helen, my gardening guru.
The resident gardening guru. That's right.
My mother-in-law as well. Both your mother-in-law and my mother-in-law have amazing gardens.
Oh my gosh, beautiful.
So I talk to Lori a lot about my garden as well. So
yeah. Oh, her backyard is amazing. What?
Between the two of them, I feel like I can't fail.
Oh, I could, but I'm glad you feel like you couldn't.
They're both very encouraging. It's excellent. I appreciate them very much. So, well, this was fun, my friend. It was always nice to see you. And
you too.
You know,
have a good weekend. This guy's awake now.
5 minutes, just with nobody else watching.
Well, See ya. No,